All right, Marcus, Gunnery Sergeant Chestnut. Now, you you've accomplished a lot. We talked a lot about the good things, the motivating things. Now, we talked off camera. There were a few times where you yourself were getting ready to walk away from the Marine Corps. Now, nobody just wakes up and just has one bad day, right? And it's like, I'm done. I'm leaving the Marine Corps. Or maybe some people do, right? Maybe some people do. But what were some of the most challenging times that you have had that have put doubt in your mind that you wanted to even stay in this long?
I'm about to give you an arrogant answer and then like a sad answer. The arrogant answer is like sometimes I feel like I was too good for the Marine Corps. Like I'm just like I joined because I was so good that I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like in high school, I was in select choir, first freshman to only do that and get their own solo. I could sing. I was in the drum line. I was an all league football player. I was a track star, broke all my high school records and league records, and I was in all advanced placement classes. So I was like, I don't know. At that point, I was like, where do I go to be great at all of this? Because I don't know which one to pick. And that's kind of why I joined the Marine Corps too, because the Marine Corps can let you be great at a lot of stuff. But my first contract, my second unit, when I was at 1-4, was my first experience with hazing. My dad was my sergeant major at the unit with me. And my first sergeant hated that. Like my dad was no big, I was a sergeant. I work for an officer. I'm intel. I report to the CEO. So my dad has, sergeant major has nothing to do with what I do in a unit. But my first sergeant I thought I had privilege. So every chance he got, he would make my life fucking miserable. Like when we had liberal brief, he'd always call me out. If there was duty, he put me on it. He shoulder checked me in the hallways. Sometimes he cornered me, like gut punched me a few times. Like there was a lot of weird shit. I could never like walk past him or walk anywhere in the unit and feel like comfortable
Why you ain't hit him back?
because that wasn't going good. And I was in a unit to where like hazing was kind of okay, you know. And I had some interesting experiences as a leader too. And
Good thing we don't incriminate on this series.
I didn't say nothing.
Yeah,
I said I had interesting experience.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So like I don't know, like and then at that same unit is where it transpired to greatness because I was on my way to get out, not because I didn't like what I was doing or I felt the Marine Corps was bad. It's because I was a personal trainer. Marine Corps paid for it. And that's when I started bodybuilding. And I was like, damn, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, personal trainer, had job offers. And I could just go make money doing that because I love that. And then I was like, Ty, I'm getting out. TRS, check one. And then the gunny and the S3 was like, you're going to sergeant school, sergeant's course at the time. It's like, I'm not doing that shit, I'm getting out. He's like, I don't give a fuck, you going anyway. So he registered me. So I went. My faculty advisor was a bodybuilder, competed at Mr. Olympia at the highest level. And he's a pilot, civilian pilot in training. And he's a Marine. He's like, so why are you getting out again? I was like, damn, if you could do all that shit and stay in, and what the fuck am I getting out for? So then I stayed in. And then, there's a bunch of incidents that happened later that made me want to get out, but all different. There was another event that happened kind of recently, though. I think we talked about this. You talked about this at the show.
We talked about it, but we didn't talk about it on camera.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to put you in a position where you had to make a choice.
So I volunteered to go to a course. A very, very, I think, prestigious course that you won't get a lot of opportunities to do. And I was hand selected out of a pool of people out of the mall, which is great, to do this thing. And this is like almost a year before the course. Around the same time I found out my wife is pregnant and she's having a baby. And then we have our first doctor's appointment weeks later. We get the due date and it's dag snap in the middle of when that course is supposed to be. So I told my sergeant major and I told my master guns I'm not going because I have to be there for the birth of my child. Because my first child, I was barely there because I was in the depot. Like we had him and I went back to work and then I was gone for 2 months. So I missed that. So I'm gonna be there for this one. I told them that. Months later, I guess they didn't convey it to somebody. I don't know. They didn't want me to not go or something. My sergeant major calls me, both of them, while I'm on leave. That's when I was at 30 days. And they were like, so are you going to the course or not? And I was like, I thought we talked about this. I'm not going. I'm having a baby. I'm not going to miss the birth of my child. And then, you know, my sergeant major, I guess, was confident enough to tell me that some people felt like my family care plan was enough for that. So it didn't matter if I went because someone was going to take care of it. But we out here in Okinawa, no family, overseas, wife's high risk, and I missed the birth. So like the physical and psychological effects that come with that is fucking crazy. So I have another conversation with a different sergeant major about it. And then I tell him, he asked me again. He's like, are you going or not? I was like, let me tell you something. I really want to go. I don't need this course because I'm going to promote no matter what. I've done all the things. I've done all the things my peers are afraid to do. That's why I said I'm going to make it to Master Guns. And then, but if you are asking me to do this course, I'm going to say no. But if you're telling me, then I'll pack my bags right now. Because that's what the Marine Corps wants me to do. If it's a deployment, I'm out the door already. If it's an exercise, I'm probably going already. But you're asking me to go on a course to miss something significant in my life? Yeah, I'm not gonna miss that. So, and then later I find out that, you know, people are feeling some type of way because I said no, which doesn't make any sense to me. And they're like, oh, if they were in my position, they would have said yes, blah, 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 blah. But one thing that I was slowly learning, you know, as I was climbing the ranks is that people are more willing to sacrifice things for an institution because they think it would be better for the overall picture, which is not the case, right? And we've all experienced things where, like, we know that we have to do this thing because the Marine Corps said so. Like, I have to go on this deployment, and I have to leave my family because that's what I signed up to do. But I'm not voluntarily making the life harder of my spouse because you asked me to, which is fucking bananas to me. So then I stayed, and guess what I did? I delivered the baby. Come on now. They almost put my name on the paperwork. That's how much I crushed that shit. And I took all the baby leave and sleep trained the baby and did all this other extra shit. And I would have missed all that. My wife probably would have resented me for the whole time. You know, my sergeant major told me, he was like, if I was in your shoes, would I have did it? Probably. But my family wouldn't have been okay. And him telling me that was like, okay. Dude, we're not the same then. I'm not willing to do what you want. I'm not willing to sacrifice what you want to sacrifice. Even though I'm willing to sacrifice. But I think there's a huge difference in that. And then the last thing I would say in regards to, like, I don't know, things that made me want to get out or hard times. My last unit, I think it's the job. I learned some things I didn't want to learn about, you know, what we're required to do. And I didn't agree with them. You know, I didn't agree with policies. I didn't agree with what we were saying was right and wrong. I didn't agree with what I was fighting for at the time. I kind of felt that way when I was in Iraq too. And I was like, well, if I want, I could just get out and make more money and then not have to deal with any of this stuff. And my sergeant major made me think about something I've never thought about. Quality of life. What's that like? I went to the hospital 6 times in 1 year for me, my child, and my wife. Some were ambulance transits. That alone is like 50 to 100 G's. That's just one piece. You got to think about school, dental, opportunities, connections, all this other bullshit. And how long I've been in the game too. And after thinking about that and how close I am to retirement and making it to E9 to pursue something else, like, there's no reason to get out. People who do though, I tell them. I'm not a recruiter. Some Marines tell me, they're like, yeah, I'm getting out. I was like, good, yes, what do you want to do? You don't have a plan? Fuck, well, let's make one. Because if you have the balls to get out, that says a lot about you. As long as you're not running from something. Because I was never running. I wanted something. And I think that's where I was like transpiring from, like, average to greatness. The Marine Corps was giving me average. I was like, Ty, I want greatness, so I need to go get that. And once I knew I could do that greatness, and I just stayed in. I think that's what separated me. That mindset has never left.
That says a lot about you with when you say the mindset hasn't left. Because, you know, going through something where you start looking at people differently and looking at situations differently, you start to not necessarily doubt, but you start to question, why am I here? Because you're not going to get that time back. I missed the birth of one of my kids while I was deployed. And what you just said about your wife resenting me, I can see that. You know what I'm saying? And as a man, you got to make certain sacrifices. And unless people have to make those sacrifices, they'll never be able to relate. It is what it is. We hope our kids are never in those positions, right? That's why we do the things that we do. But ultimately, one day, as a man, you're going to find that out. So this is what I want you to do. You got any save rounds?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get those rounds off of there. Go ahead.
You said something interesting about, I called my dad.
Oh, man.
Because he's a retired sergeant major. And I was like, explain the situation, make me understand.
Yeah.
Give me some buy-in. Should I go? Because I had an option still on the table. Should I go to this course? You know what I mean? He's like, fuck no.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God.
Okay, yeah.
That puts me at ease. So you have no idea.
So cool. I'm happy you said that, right? Because I'm in the air wing. You being over on the ground side working with them, you have access to sergeant majors like that. I get a new one every 3 years, just like everybody else, right? And most of the times, the ones that I get, they're retiring, they're on their way out in the air wing. They're not really focused on moving up like that. They're attached to a lieutenant colonel, and that's probably it for them, right? Bro, being in the wing, I didn't have access to the Dorseys, to the Levies,
Gangster.
to the Chestnuts.
Legendary.
I didn't have access to these people, right? And I could have used access like that to mentors, to people that, for real, that I could relate to. The Sergeant Major Allens. I gotta put his name in there. I could have used that. But we on the flight line working. Groundside people, he was all kind of shit all the time. But the fact that you had that, somebody to give you a sanity check. Because every now and then you gotta be like, hold on, am I crazy?
That part.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to do that. You had to call him. Am I looking at this wrong? Am I missing something? Your dad could have said, yeah, mission's always first. Blah, blah, blah. No, he said, hell no. Fuck.
Hey, dog, you got to sacrifice. He could have.
Yeah, he could have.
7 kids.
He kept the shit real.
This man has had 7 kids. He's been on 7 deployments. Been on the depot twice. Never missed a birth. And I was like, if you could, first of all, you need an award for that. But if you could do that, then there's no way people out here missing births willy-nilly. By choice.
Willie, yeah, okay.
By choice.
Yes. I was in the middle of the ocean. Well, I was in Oman. In a whole nother.
Right, you can't fight that, right?
You know what I mean? The timing was just.
And that's why I'm like, damn, if you deployed, it is what it is. If you want to exercise, sometimes it's 50-50. But like, I'm not going to voluntarily walk away.
Yeah.
For something I don't need. For something I don't need. For something I don't need.
Yeah.
That's
and for somebody trying to make you feel like you need it. Or
you know
like
what I
it was
mean?
that important. Nothing is that important.
Nothing.
None of this training is that important.
And this is why, like, this is going to make me sound like I'm done, but I'm not done. I've just done it all, you know? This is why I'm going to DC. Because I've already done it all. I've done the combat deployment. I've done the UDP. I've done the overseas tour. I've done the B billet. I've done it. I've done everything. I've done the wing. I've done ground. I've done logistics. I've done joint command. Like, I've done it all. You know what I mean? I don't need that. That's not going to advance me. Like, I need something bigger than that. Where I'm going right now to DC, that's something bigger than that. That's going to open doors for me. That's why I'm doing that. And that is somewhat considered a sacrifice, at least in my wife's eyes, because she don't want to leave Japan. Neither do I, to be honest. But it's just too easy out here, man. It's just too easy. Yeah, I ran into some kids in the elevator in my towers. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're moving? And I was like, yeah, we're going to DC. Like, oh, that sucks. I was like, what? Kids like it out here? And it's like, yeah, we love it. It's easy. It's great. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, damn. That's how you know it's real.
Yeah.
Kids and parents.
Okay.
I'm about to slave away.
Well, we talked earlier. Now, in the case of your passing, you just die off, right? You got to leave a message to your boys. Because your whole life, up until you got married, was about you. Your responsibility, right?
Mm.
Then once you got married, you took responsibility for your wife, and now you got your sons.
Mm.
Right? You got your last words that you're gonna say to them. What do you want to say to your boys?
It's like my tape. They watching the tape while I'm dead. I'm not afraid to talk about death. Hard times create strong men. So choose the hard times. That will make you the most successful person you could be. That's all you need. People always say work hard, but no one actually knows what that means, though. You know what I mean? What is hard work? To you, hard work may mean something else. To a fucking 15-year-old, hard work may mean like nothing compared to what your hard work is. So what I'm telling you is to create the hardest times that you've never experienced so you can grow. That's physically, mentally, and emotionally. And to whatever you're chasing, you're destined to get that.